everybody, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Master 88 here, and welcome to another episode of the Linux Roundtable podcast. Today, folks, we're going to be discussing all the cross-platform software that can pretty much be used on pretty much any operating system you could think of, whether it be Windows, Mac, or Linux, doesn't matter. And we're also going to talk about in this podcast another topic that I want to bring to the forefront here, and that's pretty much the topic of Brave Origin, my new favorite browser, and in my opinion, the best web browser bar none. So stay tuned for that topic. Anyway, without wasting your time and coffee. All right, let's get to the first main topic, cross-platform software. So, cross-platform software, folks, is pretty much software. Doesn't matter if it's proprietary or free and open source, though I generally prefer free and open source because we can see the code of the software and make sure there's nothing malicious in it. Whereas with proprietary, you don't have that freedom. So, but anyway, cross-platform software can be found on Windows, Mac, Linux, even BSD as well. And I'm pretty much going to talk about free cross-platform applications that I pretty much use on a daily basis, no matter which operating system I use. So, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? So the first piece of cross-platform software that I use on a daily basis for my YouTube work, my Patreon work, is the software known as FFmpeg. This is not just a cross-platform, but that's also free and open source. Once again, the differences between proprietary and open source. Proprietary is basically closed sourced anyway, and you can't see what the software is doing. You don't know if it's malicious or not. Whereas with free and open source software, you can see what it's doing, and if you make any changes to the code yourself, you have to upstream your changes to other people. This way, you know, then everybody else can experience the wonderful new changes that you made to it. FFmpeg is one of those pieces of free and open source cross-platform software because FFmpeg is a tool that I use to basically convert my videos to WebM format, which I've been using the WebM format for many years now. WebM is basically not a proprietary format. It is definitely a free and open source format. And WebM, you can generally use it on any operating system. Doesn't matter what it is. But FFmpeg is really good video conversion tool. I mean, I've used it on Linux mainly, but I know that it's available for Mac OS and Windows and BSD as well. And it's a very simple piece of cross-platform free and open source software. There's not much of a learning curve to it. Though you have to pretty much get a little comfortable with the terminal, which I know for a lot of people that are coming to Linux, the terminal can be scary at first, but I completely assure you, the terminal is not really scary. It really, really isn't. There's a bit of a learning curve to it, but once you get comfortable with using certain commands in the terminal, it's going to be smooth sailing. But FFmpeg is primarily a terminal-based application. There is some GUI front ends, though, from my personal experience, using it via the terminal is the best way to get the results you're looking for when it comes to video conversion. Whether you're converting an AV1 to an MP4 or an MP4 to WebM, this, that, all the other. It's a really cool piece of software, and it's pretty much what I use to bring content to you guys. So that's pretty much FFmpeg in a nutshell. The second piece of cross-platform software that I use as well is something that I've talked on my channel numerous times, and that's KeePassXE. Now, just recently, I've started converting from using KeePassXE as my main two-factor authentication device slash password manager to the Proton suite of applications, which I got the Proton premium membership, which I do pay for it once a month. And since I got the Proton premium membership, I get full access to all the bells and whistles when it comes to Proton Mail, Proton Drive, Proton Calendar, all the wonderful Proton applications that you guys know and love. And just recently, I've gotten really comfortable using the Proton Pass password manager as a web extension in Brave Origin, which I'll be talking about that after a while. And since I've started using Proton Pass, it's become very easy to essentially um, get all my passwords organized, get my 2EFAs, and whatever notes I have. It's a very cool piece of free and open source software, in my opinion. But we're talking about KeePassXE, though. But I just want to let you guys know that I no longer use KeePassXE as the primary default. That solely has gone to Proton Pass. But I still have KeePassXE as a secondary password manager, though. Which, for many years, KeePassXE was my de facto standard password manager. Once again, until I basically started using the Proton suite of applications. And KeePassXE is a really good offline password manager. Whereas, with Proton Pass, it's completely online. There is an offline application, though, for it. But I prefer the online web extension because it's so much easier. So much easier. But with KeePassXE, it is a wonderful piece of cross-platform free and open source software. I mean, you can make one, two, even free databases for all your passwords, whether it's passwords for banking, for work, for games. The list goes on and on. I mean, you have a lot of ways to use KeePassXE for a wide range of use cases. And for many years, it was my default for a very, very long time. And I still recommend KeePassXE as a password manager that I would recommend starting with first before investigating other password managers like Bitwarden or Proton Pass. So when it comes to KeePassXE, though, it is still one of the best. I mean, if you're not going to be using the Proton Premium, I would still advise just stick with KeePassXE as a good offline password manager. It is a really good piece of cross-platform software. You can download it from basically any operating system that you can find it on. So, yeah, that's pretty much KeePassXE in a nutshell. The final piece of cross-platform software that I want to get into is Steam. Steam, all I gotta say is ever since it came to Linux in 2011, its popularity has gone up and up and up and up and up. And, now that, Linux market share has reached 10%, and it's most likely going to get even better, once the new Steam machine comes out. And, we got the Steam Deck still, and it's still getting updates. It may get another hardware revision down the road. But in my honest opinion, there's really not much to say about Steam. It is one of the best ways to get your foot in the door when it comes to Linux gaming. Because thanks to the wonderful work that Valve has done with Proton and what the Wine people have done with Wine, Linux gaming has never been better than it is right now. It is a good time to be a Linux gamer, in my opinion. And that's why I pretty much recommend, if you want an easy way to have all your games in one place, Steam is pretty much the good way to go. And with the GOG app coming to Linux very soon, and we also got itch.io app as well, including the Heroics Game Launcher. I hope one day when it comes to the Heroics Game Launcher that we do get Fortnite running in Linux okay, as long as we can get that anti-cheat stuff sorted out. But back to talking about Steam. Steam to me, for what I use, for what I need it with, I mainly only use Steam just to get the data files I need for certain games. Like for Doom 3, for example, I would only need the Doom 3 data files in order to use the open source front end DHEWM3, which is a really nice piece of free and open source software, and it's a really good way to run Doom. As well as, all the open source engines to run Quake, Quake 2, Hexen 2, all those old id Software games we know and love. But yeah, Steam is really, really good, and there's not much else I can really say about it. And now we're going to get into our next main topic, Brave Origin. So Brave Origin currently is my favorite web browser of all time at this point. It's free, it's open source, you can get it completely free on Linux. But if you purchase the one-time purchase, then you'll have access to the Android app, the iOS app, as well as the full version of it for either Mac OS or Windows. It is a nice, deep, bloated version of Brave, and there's no telemetry, no data collection. It is a really good web browser, and I highly recommend Brave Origin to anybody and everybody who wants a browser that is free and open source, that basically you can run on virtually any of the main free operating systems, whether it's Mac OS, Windows, provided you pay the one-time fee for those two, and you can get it on. And once again, you can get Brave Origin completely free on Linux. They got a deb package, and they also have a nice little curl command that pretty much detects the Linux version you have, and it'll just install it from there. So I honestly recommend Brave as a really good web browser, no matter what operating system you're running, as long as it's the main free operating systems, Windows, Mac OS, provided that you pay the one-time fee. Once again, that's very important, and you can get it on any Linux distribution you can think of. When it comes to BSD, I don't know if Brave Origin has gone to BSD yet. Hopefully at some point it does. But anyway, folks, that's pretty much my thoughts on Brave Origin, as well as cross-platform software. I thank you all so much for watching the Linux Roundtable podcast. If you enjoyed these just as much as we all do, then smash that like button, ring that notification bell, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Remember, folks, I have a Patreon. You have 2 tiers to choose from. The free $1 Green Penguin tier and the $5 Red Penguin tier. Both of them have Linux tech and Yu-Gi-Oh content on them, as well as content that you will not find on this channel. So if you want the good stuff, subscribe to Patreon. And until next time, this is Yu-Gi-Oh Master 88 saying see you later.